What is up, everybody? Well, I'm ready to continue on with this war movie madness that we've been doing. If you're new to this, what we've done is we are determining the greatest movie or TV series of all time that is set in a historical or war setting. And a couple of months ago, I had everybody make their suggestions. We came up with lists in 4 categories. We did some voting to rank them all, and then we decided to do like a March Madness style thing. So number 1 in each category versus number 16, number 2 versus 15, until we get to a winner in each category. Those 4 will go head to head, and we will determine an all-time winner. So I want to take a look at the results in 2 of the 4 brackets and let you know what the next steps are going to be. So here we have the voting results. Number 1, Band of Brothers versus number 16, Come and See. This is the World War II bracket. Overwhelming winner, Band of Brothers, which got 93% of the vote. So Band of Brothers will move on, and they will take on the winner of 8 versus 9. Saving Private Ryan won a slightly closer contest against Battle of Britain. 66% of the vote for Saving Private Ryan. They will move on to take on the winner of 7 versus 10. Tora 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 wins big against Thin Red Line, number 14. Tora 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 gets almost 76% of the vote. The Longest Day wins a slightly closer matchup against Letters from Iwo Jima, only about 54.5% to 45.5%. Here, A Bridge Too Far wins against Enemy at the Gates with almost 74% of the vote. Now, so far, all of those have gone exactly as they were expected to, which is the higher seed did, in fact, win. But that you're going to see pretty soon that's not going to be the case with every one of them. The number 6, Midway, the 1976 Charlton Heston version, wins against number 11, Midway, the 2019 version, getting 68% of the vote. Here we have the Pacific, number 7, versus number 10, Hacksaw Ridge. And it won with 60% of the vote. And then here is our only upset in the World War II bracket, which is where Das Boot has upset a slight favorite in Patton with 53% of the vote to 47%. So those 8, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 will move on to the next round of voting, but that won't be until after we complete the voting that I'll be presenting to you today. But let's go ahead and take a look now at the results in the post-World War II category. And what we have here are some upsets, but not with number 1. Apocalypse Now wins big with almost 80% of the vote over number 16, Heartbreak Ridge. Number 2, We Were Soldiers wins big against Generation Kill with just over 70% of the vote. Black Hawk Down, one of the biggest wins of the day, and I have a feeling this might be a contender to win the post-World War II bracket. Almost 89% of the vote for Black Hawk Down. Platoon wins big against the Hurt Locker. So you can kind of see a theme. The more modern combat films and series are not doing well. They're getting beat by a lot of older stuff, talking about Vietnam specifically. Is winning big, but also things like the Mogadishu combat in 1993. Full Metal Jacket, another Vietnam over more modern combat with 76% of the vote. Here we have our first upset. The MASH TV show, which was ranked number 11 going in by you, the viewer, defeats Hamburger Hill with 53% of the vote. So they will go on to face... actually, they got to face Black Hawk Down next. So, number 7, Jarhead gets beaten by Behind Enemy Lines at number 10 with just over 52% of the vote. And number 8, American Sniper with 58% over Zero Dark 30. So those are the results of the voting you've done so far. Now it's time to take a look at what you'll be voting on in the other 2 brackets. Okay, so let's take a look at the first bracket you'll be voting on today, and that is the Ancient through 1815 bracket. Now, this covers a lot of ground, and there are some matchups here that are really tough for me because a couple of times 2 of my favorite things are going up against each other. So number 1, we have Gladiator with Russell Crowe versus Turn Washington Spies, which was a show that was on AMC a few years ago. One of my favorite about the Revolutionary War period here in America. Number 2, the Rome series, which ran for 2 seasons and covered the events around the time period of Julius Caesar up through Mark Antony. Up against the Sharp series starring Sean Bean. We have number 3, Braveheart, against the number 14 2002 miniseries on Napoleon that aired on TV. Number 14, or number 4, Vikings up against number 13, Red Cliff. Number 5, if you've never seen it, Ironclad is one of my all-time favorites. It's a movie that takes place around the events toward the end of the reign of King John in England. Stars Paul Giamatti as John, and it's a fantastic movie. So is The Crossing. The Crossing stars Jeff Daniels as George Washington, and it covers the events around up to and including the attack on Trenton, Washington's crossing over the Delaware River. So there's that. Number 6, The Last Kingdom, which is a current show that's still airing, and I think it's now on Netflix, and takes place around the time of Alfred the Great and that whole time period in England, up against Master and Commander with Russell Crowe. There's Russell Crowe's second appearance on our list today. We have number 7, The Patriot, with Mel Gibson, up against number 10, Waterloo, and then number 8, Spartacus, against number 9, Kingdom of Heaven. So you can click on the link in the description to go ahead over and vote on that one. Let's take a look at the other bracket you're going to vote on. Okay, so now let's take a look at the 1815 to 1918 bracket. This is going to be pretty heavily dominated by the American Civil War and also just a touch of World War I primarily. But there are a few other things in there as well. So number 1, Gettysburg versus number 16, Texas Rising, which was a miniseries a few years back, starring, among other folks, Bill Paxton as Sam Houston. We have number 2, Glory, up against number 15, They Died with Their Boots On. I just watched Glory the other day. Man, I had forgotten just what a fantastic movie that is from top to bottom. All the acting roles, of course, Denzel Washington won an Oscar for that breakout role in Glory. But just a star-studded cast, and they all do phenomenal. Number 3, one of our newest films on the list, 1917, which just came out last year, against number 14, Dances with Wolves. Number 4, the North and South series, starring Patrick Swayze, covers the events of a couple of fictional families, all the way from their time at West Point all the way through the end of the Civil War, up against the 2004 version of The Alamo, starring Billy Bob Thornton as Davy Crockett. Then we have number 5, All Quiet on the Western Front, against the series or film, I can't remember which it was, about the Hunley. I think it was a film about the Confederate submarine that was experimented with during the American Civil War. Number 6, The Blue and the Gray, starring folks like Stacy Keach, another star-studded cast, one of the best looks at the American Civil War that I've ever seen, against number 11, which is the John Wayne version of The Alamo. Then we have number 7, Gods and Generals, and number 10, the TNT miniseries on Andersonville Prison during the American Civil War. And then number 8 is Son of the Morning Star, which was a look at the events around the Battle of Little Bighorn, focused on George Armstrong Custer against number 9, Lawrence of Arabia. So that link is also in the description. We'll leave voting to go for about a week or so, and then we will announce our full voting on the round of 32 when we announce the results of these 2 brackets. So go ahead and vote if you would. Share this with anybody you want to, and we'll see how it turns out. Thanks a lot, guys.